Welcome to the Be Shine podcast. This is Brian, your host. We have a very special guest from 315, 31 Live. Just One is in the building.
What up, what up, Welcome. What up?
Good to see you,
my old friend.
Yeah, man. We met like 12 years ago in the whole the whole grind time movement.
Absolutely.
Brought us together. But you know, as I mentioned to you before, I haven't been able to find a lot of history from just your background when I'm doing my research. So I do want to start from the beginning with you. But I'm also really excited because I have a lot of topics that I want to talk about with you. Some that, you know, we have personal experiences in together, and then some just about your trajectory through your music, through business, grind time, all that stuff. And we'll just get right into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I know you to be from Syracuse. Is that where you were born and raised?
Yes. I was actually born in Auburn, about 30 minutes away. But I've been in Syracuse since I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
So might as well be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was it like growing up in Syracuse? And what did you do? Like, were you involved in like sports? Did you get into music super early? What was it like for you?
Man, that's a good question. Syracuse is an ill place. I was into music super early, you know what I mean? 100%. I was already rapping by like the third grade. Like true facts, you know what I mean? But yeah, I got into the breakdancing very early, just going to the Boys and Girls Club, seeing some older cats getting crazy, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what is this shit? This shit cool as a motherfucker. You know, and at that point, you know, I was just a little kid, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't even join their little cipher. I would just kind of chill and watch, you know what I mean? Everybody else was playing in the gym, you know, and I was just, you know, they would be there every day after school, like I was there every day after school. And yeah, man, I would just watch them doing their thing and then go to the crib and mimic what they was doing until I felt like, and I did that for a while, you know, until I felt like I was good enough to like just kind of jump in, you know what I mean, jump in a little circle and do a little something. So that was my introduction to hip hop. At that point, I knew nothing about the music. I knew nothing about hip hop in general, the culture, like. It just was these kids doing some crazy ass acrobatic dancing, you know what I mean, to some dope ass music that was just kind of like, you know, I remember them always playing, I can't remember the name of the song. It's like some shit like, I can't remember the name of it right now, man, but you know, and then like the King Tut and then the Planet Rock. Like I just remember them playing those certain songs. And I was like, this shit's dope as fuck, man. I need to get involved with this, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I did, man. I just would watch them, go to the crib, mimic what they was doing until I felt like, yo, let me jump in this. I got a little something, you know what I mean? Okay. I could do this. So yeah, that was the beginning right there.
So it was more B-boy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It went from B-boying then to graffiti. But it all coincided with each other. It wasn't like one or the other. You understand?
It's like depending on the day, you'll just
it wasn't even the day. It was like, yo, this is what I started to learn through the breakdancing, right? You know, then you start getting into the culture, right? You start, you know, learning how to wear your clothes. Oh, this is how we wear our clothes. We don't wear those. We wear these. You know, shit like that. You know what I mean? And then like, yo, hip hop, we do graffiti. We come up with names and we write them on the wall with markers, you know, and all, you know, just, we do that. And then it's just like, word? Oh, that's fire. I'm going to do that. And again, same thing. I practice in my notebook at school until I felt like, you know, I had a cool little tag name with a cool little, and it looked good, you know. Then I got my little Sharpie and got a hold of a marker and started writing it everywhere in school, everywhere outside of school. You know what I mean? And then but it was all it was all going along with each other at the same time. I'm still breakdancing. You know, I'm getting big refrigerator box cardboards, and I'm doing my own graffiti on the cardboards. You know, that's what I would graffiti on. You know what I mean? My mom was like, "Nah, stop moving my damn furniture." So I got a hold of this big, huge cardboard box and graffitied it up, and that's what I would bring out into my front yard. You know what I mean? And then be all graffitied up, and I would break dance on the cardboard, me and some of the kids around from the neighborhood.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So it was like all simultaneously, and then same thing with the rhyming. It just, you know, we listening to them rap while we break dancing. So I'm just like, you know, and a lot of times back then, you know, a lot of the songs were super long.
Mm-hmm.
Like
7 minutes.
Songs were super long, where there was like points where like there was no rapping going on, no nothing, like long periods. So, you know, just kids in the neighborhood just would rap. We'd have the box out there while we're breaking, and the beats would be going, and we would just start rapping like they was rapping. Again, just mimicking what we're listening to, what we're seeing, you know what I mean? And I was actually just kind of dope at it, you know what I mean? And I would do it all the time in the neighborhood. And then it got into kind of the dozens, playing the dozens, which is everybody calls it different. We called it ribbon, you know what I mean? In Syracuse, we call it, I'm ribbon, or why you ribbon, you know what I mean? You ribbon on me? So that's what we call it. You know, most people call it the dozens or whatever it is, but in Syracuse, we was like, oh, you ribbon, oh, you trying to rib, you trying to rib on me? So we turned that into battling, ribbing in the lunchroom into rap ribbing, making it rhyme, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, that's just how I got started, man. I just was good at it. Like I was taking people's lunch. Yeah, I was earning those brownies and those extra cookies and lunch, battling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it helps if you're like just naturally quick-witted. You can just pick that up quickly. So then you kind of gravitated more towards that, because then you would lead into
recording, not for a while. I mean, you know, I again, everything was happening simultaneously. You know what I mean? The breaking, the graffiti, the rhyming. You know,
just did everything.
We wanted to DJ, but we ain't had no money to buy no DJ equipment. You know what I'm saying? We're not even double-digit age yet. You know what I'm saying? We're just, you know, young as shit, ruining, you know, my mom's turntable that she had. You know what I mean? Because, you know, my first records that I bought were records, like not tape. You know, the first joints I bought was the Fat Boys All You Can Eat and the Run DMC vinyls on record. And I would ruin my mom's shit. I mean, you know, these are, you know, now that I'm older, I know that those turntables are like one-way belt turntables. They weren't made to go back.
Right.
You know, I broke her belt several times.
Yeah.
You know, trying to scratch and shit like that. But yeah, man, like we was just simultaneously doing all of that, man. And as far as sports was concerned, like, you know, I played neighborhood sports. We played baseball. We played football. You know, tap out, kill the man with the ball.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, the biggest sport that I ever got into though was like BMXing. You know what I'm saying? BMXing was my thing. So, yeah, but I never played any sports for any teams, just neighborhood sports.
Did you do any local BMX competitions?
Yeah, I raced bikes on a Dogger Park. On a Dogger Park had a, it was big for a while, you know what I mean? I was probably 12 to about 14. I was racing heavy, like every weekend out there, you know what I mean? And then they closed the racetrack down. The closest one was like an hour away, so that was kind of a dub. So then but then, you know, we got into the street riding after that, you know what I mean? So I did that for a few more years, and then, you know, I just got into the streets and kind of like left, like I didn't really do none of that stuff anymore. Breaking was kind of like, you know, there was a point in breakdancing where it was really hot, then it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It just was really dope, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, nah, we're not doing that no more.
Yeah.
So everything that we was doing was in the 80s.
Yeah. You got 8 years on me.
You know what I'm saying? So like I was born in 74, you know, man, by the time, again, like I said, I was really young watching those dudes breakdance.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
different.
Early 80s. Early 80s, I was on it. You know what I mean? Like,
That's early.
You know, before that, yeah, of course, you know, my father's a musician. Pretty successful musician, you know what I'm saying? And he, you know, he played guitar, heavy metal, rock and roll music. So before that, yeah, of course, I'm you know, hanging out with my pops. You know what I'm saying? I'm meeting Ronnie Dio. You know, at the time, I'm a kid. I don't know who these people are. You know what I'm saying? This is just this is what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm whatever he's doing, I'm into it. You know what I mean? But the discovery of those kids breakdancing in the Boys and Girls Club really was like my own. That was I just gravitated towards it. I don't know why, but I just gravitated towards that. And it's been nothing but hip hop culture ever since.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to resist it once you first start seeing it and you're mesmerized. It just
was dope, man. Yeah. It just was dope. I don't know if it was a youth thing or what it was, man. It just was dope, man. I was just like, oh, this shit is dope. I want to know how to do that shit. That shit looks crazy. These motherfuckers spinning on their back, doing crabs, walking on their hands. I was like, yo, I gotta learn how to do that shit.
Windmills and shit.
All of that shit, bro. I was like, I gotta learn how to do that shit. And yeah, man, after that, just, you know, it was just never looked back.
Yeah. But wait, you mentioned your dad a musician. Was he a full-time musician in a band? Yeah,
my dad was a guitar player. Never really got famous, but my pops was like always that dude that was like right there on the edge. But you know, my dad did a lot of dope shit. You know what I'm saying? He was, you know, he's been in High Times magazines, Rolling Stone magazines. You know, he ended up landing a couple. He did a guitar gig and then ended up playing with that band, which was called Blue Cheer. And they're like old school. They're actually, if you do some quick history on that, and I only know it because of my pops, but like that band was like the band that people will tell you they started heavy metal. Like they're the ones that like were loud, obnoxious, you know, and, you know, my dad ended up playing with them years after their time came and went. But, you know, and they did some good things, you know what I'm saying? My pops got him some stoner awards for some old stoner songs and shit like that. You know, my pops, you know, you've probably heard my pops' music 1,000 times because he ended up just being a guitar for hire and just he'd create music, library music for movies and shows.
Very cool.
You know what I mean? He ended up doing that for like the last, you know, bit of his career. And you know, that's where he ended up getting his paper from. You know what I mean? Dope. But he never actually cracked into that mainstream and just off and running. You know what I mean? Right. But, you know, as a musician, you know, you can still make money. You know what I mean? It's like even as a rapper, you know, you can make money not being famous. You could be a writer. You could be a ghostwriter. Like so my pops was doing a lot of, you know, just working for hire, going into the studio, playing guitar for people who couldn't play that great. They wanted it to sound great, but their guitar players couldn't actually do it. So they would hire my dad to do it. You know what I mean?
All of that, you know, graffiti, breakdancing, a little bit of rap.
Shout out to Kid 40 too, man. Shout out to my dude Kid 40, a.k.a. Spy, Act 2, as my graffiti partner. I had to shout him out real quick.
So, you know, what was like the next step? You were a little older now. I imagine now you're kind of like in high school. Or even after that, what were kind of like the more significant things that happened?
After like elementary school, I would say middle school. I was bad as fuck as a kid, man. I just was getting in trouble all the time, bro. Like I literally was in middle school for 1 year and then got kicked out and ended up going to like every city has an alternative school where you send the kids that just and getting it right in regular school. So I went there, and in those type of schools, they try to explore. There's not that many kids in those schools, so they explore your what you're good at, what do you like, to try to keep you engaged. Mm-hmm. And music was always, rapping. You know what I'm saying? So there was kids in there from the churches that knew how to play drums. It was just all types of shit, man. You know what I mean? So I remember doing talent shows there at that school with homie in the back playing drums and shit. That was dope. Mm. Around that time, I was really getting into to rhyming because we was battling. So around that time, we was going to the other high schools and battling kids who thought they was doper. You know what I mean? We were writing rhymes all the time. And that's just where that's where everything else just kind of fell to the wayside. I mean, breaking stopped a long time ago. Mm-hmm. The graffiti was something that I constantly always did. If I had a marker in my pocket, I was throwing my name up on a wall. You know what I mean? That's just what it was. That was just what it was. I didn't start with the spray paint till afterwards. You know what I mean? As a kid, I got caught spray painting on the back of the school, the elementary school. So I just stopped doing that. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But yeah, man, I just got into the rapping shit, man, and just was rhyming all the time. That's what I did every day, all day, just rapped. And everybody always wanted to battle the white kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't even like talking that white rapper shit. To me, that shit is corny as fuck. Let me just say that out the gate. Yeah, that shit is corny.
But how many white rappers?
Zero. Exactly. Zero. Right. There was
in your neighborhood. You were
zero,
the
man.
Only one.
Zero. There was one dude that was older than me. He is from Eastwood. He was rapping too. He was actually dope back then. His name was A-OK. He was dope. You know what I'm saying? He actually taught me. I was actually friends with him. He actually taught me how to write a bar. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Nice. I learned how to write. He showed me the structure on a piece of paper. This is a bar, and then you skip a line. That's the second bar. A bar would only take up 2 lines. You know what I mean? So I learned that. I learned that from him. He was dope. But again, he was an older dude, and I got hooked up through him from another kid brought me to this dude named Sal. Shout out to my dude Sal, one of my good friends to this day. Red Brick Records. We've gone on to do all types of shit together. And yeah, he was like my first producer. You know what I mean? And he was producing a lot of cats. And after that, it just was, I just fell in love with making music. He would make the beats. We would just write songs. And our tapes were just getting around the city. Along with the battling, was getting my name known in the city. Recognized by, other cats that was doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Around what year is this?
Man, this is 88, 89.
Wow.
Like okay. 88, 89. And then we started getting a nice low buzz, man. Like we would do talent shows. We would do the Syracuse University talent shows. Then we would do, just whatever talent shows they had around the city. We started to get involved with all of them. And we're going up against grown ass, adults. We're kids. Yeah.
You
know what I mean? And I was just fired, man, and just getting my name up, and people was giving me my props, and that's how people started to know who I was. And then by and I have this audio on my YouTube channel. In 1990, we did a show. In a place back then it was called Studio. The original name of the place was called Nowhere City. That was the spot where you went to go see MC Shan, KRS-One, Steady B.
Big performance.
This was the spot where I've seen all those guys perform when as a kid, you know what I mean? Big Daddy Kane. This is where you went. Bismarcky. I've seen all those guys perform at that place. I remember later on, Sauce Money, this was the spot. You know what I mean? It was a big club, and I can't remember how many people it held, but it was a couple thousand. The place could hold maybe either a couple thousand or close to 2,000, something like that. It was a big spot, and we did that spot, and we almost packed it. I mean, it wasn't me by myself. It was me and probably 8 other artists that were all, but we were all down with the same. My boy Sal was doing all the production for all these artists.
Oh, so that night was just a show of like you and those other artists.
And bro, when I tell you that shit was lit, that shit was lit. I'm talking about every high school, you know, from around the city was in the building. That shit was so fire, bro. And before that, it was fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just, this is what we doing. We rapping. We didn't have not even a thought of putting out a real record or anything like that.
Right.
Before that show, we were just kind of in the basement making songs. We weren't shopping no deals.
Like, let's show everybody what we can do.
We was just having fun, bro. Like, we was like, this is what we will, you know. And we did that show. My dude put that show on. He put a lot of work into that show. And that shit was crazy. And after that moment, right? Because before that, it was just, we'd perform for talent shows and there'd be people in the crowd and that was cool, right? But those people were there for a variety of people that were there to watch their family members or whatever in the talent show. They weren't there for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
But they come out to a venue.
When we did that venue, they were there for us.
Yeah.
The people in that building were there to fuck with us. And it was crazy. That was my moment, like, yo, this is what the fuck I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. Like,
that's dope.
It was just, it was unreal. So, yeah, man. But we just didn't do we didn't, being from upstate New York was nobody gave a fuck about hip hop coming from upstate New York. Nobody wanted to hear that shit. This shit is still fresh. We're talking about 1990. Like, nobody even wanted to hear hip hop from anywhere but New York City. Or, you know, people that were close to New York City, Jersey, in the, you know, in those Long Island, you know what I mean? Because Rakim is from Long Island, you know, De La Soul is from Long Island. They're not even from, but we didn't know that as kids. Yeah. We just thought everybody was from New York.
So did you put out a project after that? What were you doing?
We put out tapes.
Yeah.
Like the little tapes for our friends and shit would come around. We weren't selling nothing. We weren't doing none of that. We were not smart. Like, we didn't know what the fuck to do. Nobody was checking for us.
Just excited.
But like, we didn't know, yo, we need to jump on the bus or find somebody who's old enough and has a car, got a license. And it's like, in hindsight now, it's like, well, where do you even know to go? Well, you look on the back of the records and the address of the labels are on the back of the records.
Right.
All the information's on the back of the records, but we just didn't.
I mean, were you even thinking like, oh, we got to get into a studio somehow?
I mean.
It might not even have been a thought.
Not. Maybe slightly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Maybe slightly. Because we were buying these records. We wanted to be on these records. How do we get on these records? We just didn't. Nobody around us, the light bulb didn't go off and be like, we need to go to these, we need to write down these addresses and go knock on the door. You know what I mean? Yo, I rap. You know what I mean? Listen to this.
Yeah.
And back then, I'm going to be honest with you, back then, if we would have did that, we would have got on. We would have got on. If we would have did that, we would have got on. And I say that because if you go to my YouTube page and you listen to that live performance of me getting busy, I was getting busy in 1990. I was 16 years old.
But in hindsight, how would you ever know that? So
you got, again, it takes that one person to have that drive to be like, oh, duh, the fucking address is on the back of this this record. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's hop on a bus and go to New York City and go knock on the fucking door.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'm a rapper. Listen to my demo. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know why we didn't. It's one of the things that I look back on and I'm like, fucking idiot. Stupid. Why didn't you do that? Because and this is the thing that because there was a couple other, at that point, there was a couple other white kids that was rapping too. And one of the other white kids, he was dope. You know what I'm saying? His writing ability was crazy, but his timing, rapping on beat, wasn't that he struggled. He wasn't that great. You know what I mean? So his writing was crazy, but his ability to project it over a beat wasn't that great. Okay. He'd get it, but it wasn't natural. Me, I had no problem. Like, I was just on it. It was just a natural. I didn't have to practice rapping on beat. I just knew how to do it. You know what I mean? And that's something that not everybody has. And I don't know why I had that. I don't know why I was able to do that, but it just clicked. From way back in the days when I was rapping over those long periods of instrumentals on these songs that had gaps where there was no rapping. Yeah. When I was a kid, I could mimic what they were doing. So I didn't have any problem with the timing. So I know now, looking back, if I would have went to one of those labels, rapping like how I was rapping, being as young as how I was,
something would have happened.
They would have fucked with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They would have fucked with me. But that's hindsight. It is what it is. You know, we didn't do that. We didn't have the drive or the light bulb just didn't go off in nobody's head to say that's what we should be doing.
So after like high school and all, were you working? Were you doing music? Were you doing both?
Nah, man. I was always rapping. I never stopped rapping, never stopped none of that shit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I was locked up by 17.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I was already in them streets too, man. Like, I'm already on the block. I'm already making money, doing some shit I got no business doing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy because another crew that I got down with, salute 422 alum, still the bros to this day, my dude Seth Marcel. This is where Mikey comes into play. My boy Mike Child, shout out to you, love you, bro. Because we was down with two, my boy Sal had his own crew, and then my boy Seth and them had their own crew. And Seth and them kind of, at the time, Seth Marcel's an incredible artist, MC, DJ, producer. At the time, he was only a DJ and a producer. So what he did was he kind of poached me from Sal. Like, yo, come over here. We doing some shit over here, right? So, I went over there and started fucking with them. And we did another show at that same location with them. And it was crazy again. You know what I mean? But, that was a little bit afterwards. And I had already started dabbling in the streets. And then my boy Seth started rapping. And they formed this group called the Mad Pack. But I had already got caught and was locked up doing a year bid in the county. So they formed that and went crazy, went on the road. I mean, these guys was doing shows with Biggie, Tupac, when they were just coming up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? They're running the college circuit. They hopped in the van and they was gone. They were everywhere. You know what I mean? My boy Mikey was the brains. They was getting to it. And it's crazy to talk about it now because I know if I didn't get locked up, I would have been in that van. I would have been in that group with them. You know what I mean? Killing that shit. And that was an opportunity that I missed because I was too busy in them streets. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, man.
Too busy. You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned Mikey Childs from the group Dead Weight. Was that group formed then?
No, there was Mad Pack. Mikey was part of Mad Pack. Oh. He handled all the business, but he was also part of the group. He was in the group. Mad Pack was like 5 different MCs.
I see.
And then they had like a dancer, and they had I think it was, just one dancer, and then they had the DJ, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it stands out to me because I saw him perform one time in Syracuse, and he's so energetic.
Yeah.
He's the most entertaining dude to watch on stage. Remind me of like a Fat Boys concert or something like that.
Mikey's the shit, like, man. Shout out to you again.
He's jumping around.
Mikey Childs, man. I love that guy. That's my brother right there, man. Like, wholeheartedly, man, for real.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but
100%.
his stage performance is
crazy,
super entertaining.
Mikey was always about his business, man. He was always about his business, man. And he told me, man, like, and even at one point, man, like, this is how I got back into it because, you know, I wasn't fucking with the music. After I got locked up, that was in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I did a year. So came home in 93. They were already out on the road doing their thing. You know, I wasn't even, I was rhyming. I told you, I never stopped writing. Because I always was battling.
I see.
At that stage, I just was battling motherfuckers.
Not for music. You were writing, but not for music.
Yeah, I was just writing rhymes. I wasn't even writing the beats, just writing rhymes to kill motherfuckers. Especially while I was locked up. That's what we was doing. That was, you know what I mean?
Building like your arsenal.
Just, man, yo, back then, if you bumped into me and you was like, yo, you want to battle, I'm old now, but back then I had a 50 clip for you. You feel me? Like I had 50 verses at any given time that I knew off the top of the head at all times. Like I could go, we could go 30, 40 rounds if you want.
So are there any like memorable stories from that? What's the longest you've ever gone?
Yeah, man. Well, no, but dude, I had ongoing rivals with dudes. You feel me? Like I had this one kid, man, when I went to this school called Beard, right? That was the bad school that I was telling you about. When I went there, I didn't even go to high school, to the real high school. I ended up going there. The principal of the alternative school felt bad for me and let me out. Like was like, I'm gonna let you go, but you got to go to the half a day GED classes. So I ended up going to Fowler, which is on the west side, because that's where I was living. And I went there, but I wasn't really in high school. I was in the half a day GED program, if you know what I'm talking about. I didn't change classes.
Okay.
I didn't go participate in gym or any of that type of shit. Like I was literally there from like 8 in the morning until like 12:30, and then we were out. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, and there's a couple kids, man. So in elementary, it used to be this kid named Lamont Harris. I can't remember his rap name. I just remember his full name.
Yeah.
Don't know where he's at these days. Me and him used to go at it every day. Like every day, me and him would just battle every day. A couple times we almost got into fist fights because we was just, that's how we was just rivalries, right? We was just battling every day. And then when I went to Beard, I used to battle this kid named Gerard every day. We was wild cool though. Me and him we didn't really battle, more or less traded bars. You know what I mean? There was other kids that could rap, but when we would be in a little cypher, me and him were the only ones that was really getting busy, and we would just rap for hours, bro, in this after school, you know. And then in high school, there's a couple kids in my school. I can't really remember their names offhand, but I would battle them, and then I would go to other high school. That's when I was starting to go to other high schools and battling people from other sides of town. You know what I mean? Anybody who wanted to battle me, like, all right, let's go. My boy Seth used to get me into a lot of battles. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, so I never stopped writing. And then when I got locked up, I didn't stop writing. I kept, you know. And then after I came home in 93, I still didn't do no music, man. Like I just was writing. I was just right back to the bullshit. Right back to the bullshit, man. Damn. I fucked off a lot of my life just being in them streets, man. Because the money was then.
Yeah.
You know?
Right there.
I'm getting money now. I'm making more money than people that are working 40-an-hour jobs that are 10 years older than me.
Well, that's true, yeah. Well, and then that's why the risks come along with it. But what was next after, you came back, you got back into the old habits, and then what happened after that?
I decided the game is up and down. in the streets, right? So there's money coming, money coming, and all of a sudden ain't no money coming.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting older. I got kids now. I'm like, damn, I need to do something else. So I say around 97, around 97, 98, my pops was living in Florida. He had a studio down there. And I was like, I wanna record some music. You know what I mean? So really it was Mikey Childs had came to my crib one day, man, just out the blue. It was like, yo, you playing games. We gotta do this. Mad Pack was over with. They didn't, they put out a project, it ran its course. My boy Seth and his cousin Eddie James, they broke off from the group and started doing their own thing. So that was kind of, the group had dissipated. And Mikey just was like looking for an artist to invest in. He wanted to keep it going. So he just came to me like, yo, dude, what are you doing, man? You wasting your life. Dope. You need to be doing this rap shit. So I was like, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fucking with him. He had a machine from the Mad Pack days, an MPC 60.
Nice.
And I'm like, damn, I want to make beats. He showed me how to use it. And he said, here, take it. Take it home. Do your thing. So I started making beats. And then I was just talking to my pops about music. I never talked to my pops about music. But back then, I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Let me talk to my pops. He's who I know knows about this music shit. My pops like, don't do it. My pops was told me, he said, my pops was like, this music shit is trash. He told me, he said, it's whack, man. It's like, if you don't, you'll spend your whole life chasing this dream. I'm like, my pops, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? He said, don't do it. I try to tell you.
He's not wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong at all. He wasn't wrong at all.
But you can't stop a kid with a dream that has the motivation.
So from that point, let me take you back. Like I told you, I used to be, so when I was 13, right? I told you I'm already into music. Like I'm already, I'm doing music with my boy at his crib and all this other shit. So, my dad takes me to, he was living in Ithaca at the time. Him and my mom split up when I was like 5 years old. So my pops always lived somewhere else. So he was living in Ithaca at the time. And we went to, I ended up getting into a bunch of trouble. My mom was like, oh, I can't take him. So I went and lived with my dad for the summertime out there in Ithaca. So my dad took me to Pyramid Studios out there. Pyramid Studios has a pretty crazy history.
In Ithaca.
Crazy history. Rock, heavy metal history, as well as that is the studio where like Aaliyah and Missy Elliott and all them would record their first shit, which is kind of crazy that it's in Pyramid Studios. But they were like they did a lot of their first shit out of that studio. Dope studio.
Yeah.
Super dope. So my dad, I told you, my dad was tapped into that heavy metal world. So, what's the name of the group, man? They did the rap song with Public Enemy, Anthrax. So my dad got them their drummer. Their drummer that they had only has that job because they needed a drummer, and my dad brought them. I got a guy, right? So so my dad went to the studio while they were recording. So while they're recording, my dad knows I'm into hip hop. I don't fuck with the heavy metal. You know what I mean? He goes in there, he brings out this Roland drum machine. A little small, probably like that big. I forget the name of it. He brings out the drum machine. I'm so in a pair of headphones, because back then the drum machine was self-contained, right? You bought the drum machine, it had drums on it.
Oh, like built in.
It just had drums in it. It didn't need a computer. It was a piece of hardware. You know what I mean? Back then there was no software. It was hardware.
Right.
So drum machines were drum machines. They had kicks, snares, couple different varieties of, toms and snares, and so they were all built into the machine, and there was pads, and it had its own sequencer and all that shit, right? So my dad brings me out this Roland drum machine, and I'm just playing with it, figuring out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I make me a little beat, and I'm just in there rapping. I got the headphones on. I'm in the waiting room. My dad's in the studio part. I'm in the lounge. I'm just rapping. People are coming in and out. The band members are coming in and out. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, "Yo, that shit is cool as fuck." You know what I mean? What are you doing? Put the head in the, and they're like, "Oh shit, I hear you rapping and shit." Like, whatever. And it's crazy because it's like that. After that, they ended up putting a rap song on their project, which is crazy to me. Like, I'm like, man, where'd you get that idea? As an adult, I'm remembering this, and I'm like, man, where'd you get that idea from?
That's pretty cool.
But Anthrax, y'all owe me a check.
Yeah. That's right.
But now that was just a funny story that I remembered as a kid as we were talking and shit like that. But yeah, Mikey got me back into the music. He's like, yo, dude, come on, you nice as fuck. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your talent. My dad had the studio down there in Orlando. I called my dad up and was like, yo, Pops, if I come down, can I record something? Back then it's still, again, it's not digital, it's ADATs. You know what I mean? The old VCR.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we're recording on ADATs. So my dad has a studio with his band members. And he's like, yeah, come on down. So I packed up my car, drove down, was out there for like 2 weeks, recorded probably like 7 songs, made my own cassette tape, made my own cover at Kinko's.
Oh, shit.
And started hitting the streets, selling them. You know what I mean? Mikey really liked one of the songs, right? And this was probably like 98, 97. I started learning how to make the beats and all that. About 98, I went to my dad's house and recorded these songs, started selling them, and Mikey was like, yo, this one song though, right here, that's the one we got to build off of. So he took that song, and in 1999, we dropped the 12-inch.
Nice.
Finally dropped something official.
What's the name of that?
I Keep It Live. Mm-hmm. And we dropped that joint, and Mikey was sending it. There was no email. Records, there was record pools.
Yeah.
You had to be in. You had to know who to send. So we're buying records, I think 1,000 records, some shit like that, vinyl. When I'm saying records, I'm talking about 12-inch vinyl. And Mikey already had some connections from all the Mad Pack shit. You know what I mean? And he knew where to send the records. And he sent them out, and the records went out to the record pools. So he spent a lot of, imagine, nowadays you can record some shit, right? Throw it on your Bandcamp, get an email list, and you drop the song. It don't cost you nothing to drop the song.
Nothing.
It may cost you money to make the song, mixing, mastering, recording, if you paid for the beat, so on and so forth. But it don't cost you nothing to distribute the motherfucker, especially if you got an email list, right? Or unless you pay for somebody who has a even better email list that can get your song out to DJs, right? But imagine back then you had to spend thousands, right, to print up a piece of vinyl to then ship out hundreds for free.
That's why there weren't many rappers back then.
No, not in my city.
No.
Nobody was. No, listen, in Syracuse, there was a handful of people that was doing music for real.
But I'm saying if it was required to spend thousands of dollars to get your record heard, there would be a lot less.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, it's the barrier to entry thing. But yeah, back then there was just less in general because
studios were expensive as fuck.
Exactly.
Again, it's not digital. It's not available to everybody. You have to have an ADAT machine, and you have to have more than one, because on these ADAT machines, there's only 8 tracks. And back then, they put every instrument on a track. A lot of people, you're supposed to do that now too. Like I do that now when I'm recording. you know, mixing and shit, like mixing a beat. You know, I'm mixing everything. The kick, the snare, the hi-hat, I'm mixing everything separately, right? But back then you had to record each instrument by itself into this ADAT machine.
Like the kick would be on one track,
yes,
the snare on another track.
And you had to record it that way.
And
it was crazy, bro. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. So, and you had to have multiple of these machines, and these machines were $5,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the limitations with like the SP1200, where like
super limitations. That's how I learned how to make beats, because the MPC 60 only had, let's see if I remember this correctly. It was between 11 and 13 seconds of sampling time.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So you had to sample that kick, snare, hi-hat, bass, right? Or bass line, multiple samples looped, so you can chop them up on the pads in 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's insane.
You know, and that's when we learned the art of speeding up the record, the sampling in the record fast, and then slowing it down on the machine. You know what I mean? They had a CD player. See, I came across the CD player that real-time fast forwarded. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So when you fast forwarded the CD, it played in real time. It never lost its timing. It just played really fast.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I'm saying? So I found a CD player that did that, and that's what I used to use to produce with, because then I could take a loop that maybe 10 seconds all by itself, but the fast forward button had a 1, 2, 3, like how fast you wanted to fast forward, but it would fast forward in real time. So all I would have to do, you know, I could fast forward a 10-second loop in 3 seconds. 4 seconds, and then just slow it down in the machine. So we had to do shit like that.
Yeah.
When I started making beats, we had to do creative shit like that. You know what I mean? Till they you know, they came out with the 2000 XL, and you can insert a chip and have like 5 minutes of sampling time. You know what I mean? But until then, we had to deal with what we had to deal with. And even the studios back then, they were not cheap. They were $100 an hour.
Yeah.
$60, $80, $90 an hour, bro. And you needed 5 hours to complete one song.
That was like 20 years ago, $100 an hour. It
took so long. It took so much to create a song. You had to book at least 5 hours
for one song.
For one song.
Yeah.
So if you ain't got $500 just to go into the studio and create the song, then another $200-$300 for them to sit for 2-3 hours to mix the song, right? And back then, everything was analog. You had to get your shit mastered, so you had to pay for somebody to master it. It was expensive, man. You know? And shout out to my dude Mikey, man, because he opened up his label. He had the faith in me. I didn't spend a dime. He signed me to his record label and put the money in.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I was a real, he signed me as an artist. Now, I don't know, I couldn't tell you what my contract was. You know what I mean? But I'm sure Mikey wasn't taking advantage of me. I signed on a dotted line just because that was my man. Like, I trust this guy with my life to this day.
Yeah.
He could put some paperwork in front of me. You know what I mean?
So then, so he pushed that 12-inch.
Yeah, he pushed it.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed it. We recorded. We ended up, but in between that time, I introduced Mikey to Sal.
Mm-hmm.
My boy Sal from the beginning that I was telling you about, DJ Test One, Test Beats. He had a studio, right? And that was one of the things that we were lacking as Red Brick Records. You know, we were lacking a studio and a place to record. So we started recording with Sal. I just brought Mike over there, like, yo, Mike, you guys need to do business. I told Mikey, I said, Mikey, you got to meet this guy and you need to bring him into the fold.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? This is going to be great for the company. And they're best friends.
Mm.
They ended up, now they're best friends.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? And Sal, who had Rough Beat Studios, Rough Beat was the name of his shit. just ended dropping that and coming into the Red Brick Records fold, right? And after that, we was just up and moving because Sal had the studio, so there we was recording. So I recorded the we recorded the album, and then in 2000, we put out another 12-inch. So we didn't just put out one. We spent some money. Mikey spent some money. Yeah. Shout out to Mikey. So he put out another 12-inch with me and my dude, Seth Marcel. Back then, he was known as Hannibal Lecter. Mm-hmm. 200 Pounds of Pressure was the name of the record, and that shit went crazy. That record did great, man. Got me a Right Up and Right On magazine. Back then, that was big. A couple of the underground magazines, Insomniac magazine, which is still around to this day. They don't have the paper magazines no more, but back when they were doing the real publication, you know, they recognized the joint. Couple other industry magazines were on it. So we started to move. We started to move a little bit, man, on that. And that's, you know, that was dope.
Super dope, man. I remember you used to say that Orlando was your second home, and I meant to ask you about that, but now I know it's because your dad moved there, so you would go there often.
Mm-hmm. And then I ended up moving there.
Okay.
I ended up moving there. And that's when it became like, you know, I liked Orlando. Orlando was dope. I met a lot of dope people out there.
Then you were like all in with music.
Yeah, by then I was all in with music. I moved out there in 2000. So right at the end of 2000. Mm-hmm. So right when we dropped the second single to the album, and then I put the album out, and then we moved. Then I moved to Florida like towards the end of 2000. So we were promoting the album, man. We did the CDs ourselves, just printed up the CDs ourselves and was selling them. Yeah, but then, you know, my contract was up with Red Brick Records.
Okay.
So I had to say we had a little static. You know, I wasn't really happy with the results and how it turned out. And I thought, you know, more stuff should have been done on the record label side because I really didn't understand. Nah, dude, you got to grind. You gotta self-grind. You know what I mean? Don't just rely on us to do everything.
I see.
And I'm like, I'm just the artist. You the label. You do it.
Yeah, do the marketing.
Fuck you mean? You do it. I'm not doing none of that shit. I just go in the booth and rap. You know what I mean? You tell me where the shows is at. You get the shows. Right. You get the and he did that for a while. You know what I mean? We did a lot of college radio stations. But you know, after a while, it just, you know, I was lazy. You know, all I wanted to do was rap. I wasn't trying to grind. I wasn't trying to make no connections. I was just trying to rap. Just tell me where to go and when I gotta be there. So I was an ass. I was an asshole. Sorry, Mikey. He tell me to this day, you were an asshole. He still tells me I'm an asshole because I'm stubborn as fuck.
You just moved to Orlando. How is Orlando as far as just like the scene, or just how was it different than being in Syracuse?
I mean, it's Florida compared to New York for one. You know what I mean? It's definitely a whole different environment, weather-wise. But then, you know, Orlando was cool because Orlando was or is one of the cities in Florida that has a lot of people from New York. Mm-hmm. A lot of New York people live in Orlando. So even when you go, there's certain clubs that you could go to, it's going to feel like you in New York.
It also has, it's almost like its own melting pot. There's a lot of like Hispanic people out there too, like you'd have in New York also.
Yeah. Well, when I moved there wasn't that many people there. Mm. It was not that big of a city people-wise. Now it's fucking crazy. Now it's a fucking huge city. Mm-hmm. Orlando. Yeah. You know, they're a huge city now. But when I lived there was only a few 100,000 people that lived there.
Okay.
It was not that big. Now there's over 1 million people that live in Orlando.
Yeah, too crazy.
So, super crazy. But I mean, obviously, you know, as a MC, you know, my first project had came out and dropped. You know, we pushed the vinyl as much as we could. Mikey did. So, I'm moving to a new spot. So obviously I'm like, all right, where are the open mics? Who are the artists? Is there a local radio station? What's the college radio station out here? Who's playing what? Where are the spots to go? The first time I walk into a venue and I'm chilling at the bar, it's like local show. Can't really remember who was performing. I think this kid named Czar, his brother, Rugged, Rugged, the battle rapper. He was part of their crew, X144. He's a crazy fucking producer from out of Orlando. I don't even think he lives in Orlando no more. I think he lives in Cali now, but he was dope as fuck. So I just kind of went to the local spot. I was just chilling at the bar, checking shit out. You know what I'm saying? DJ played my record. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, that's fire. You know what I'm saying? So I went up to the DJ. I was like, yo, that's my record you playing. Good looking. I can't remember which DJ it was. I can't remember his name. Okay. But that was fire though. You know what I mean? So that was dope. And then I remember going to another venue and jumping into a cypher with like Madness and Critical and all these dudes. You know what I'm saying? They were just kids. Yeah. Compared to me, they were they were young. You know what I mean? I remember doing that. And then told you I was in Insomniac magazine, put me in their magazine. The 12-inch, the single that we put out, they had a little column called the top 12 inches with the most one-liners in it. Right? So our record made it to that list. Nice. So I was working at a Mr. Rags. If you know what that is, you know what that is. You know what I mean? It's a clothing store. Used to be in the malls. It was like a skateboard, hip-hop, a Nietzsche, Mecca, Sean John. Then it had like, Fox and Spitfire, and they sold skateboards. And it was like a surfer, skateboarder / hip-hop store all in one. It was kind of crazy. But I was working in that store when I moved there. I caught a little job there. Somebody dropped off these flyers for this Insomniac 5th anniversary show. I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I didn't see who dropped them off. People would come and drop flyers off to their store all the time, which is kind of how I find out what was going on sometimes, in the city, because, that was a big thing, flyer promotion back then. So they would go to the malls, to the little hip hop stores that sold hip hop. Can you put these flyers out? So I saw the flyer, whatever the case may be. So I told Mikey. So Mikey got a hold of the dude. The dude was like, oh shit, I love that record. I want your guy to perform. Perfect, I'm out in Orlando already, right? So the headliner is MF Doom, right? MF Doom, Mars Illz, Knots. I can't really remember any of the other acts. Oh, Big Just from Company Flow.
Damn, that's crazy.
And I have a picture. With all of us. So Mikey comes up for the show. We meet up with Israel. Shout out Israel. He's the owner of Insomniac. He's with MF Doom. So we meet up with them. Had lunch. Talked about the show. Dope. I was only doing 2 songs, I think. I did 2 songs. So there's no local people on the show. So all the local hip hoppers are going to be in the building because it's MF Doom. None of them are on the bill, right? I show up, I'm on the bill. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I got a little bit of respect or whatever. What cats like, oh, I seen homie. I remember him. He came to the spot. Oh, he was in the cypher with us. He was rapping. He came to the spot. Oh, shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now they see my face and then they see me doing this show that none of them can get on because there was no local acts there.
Yeah, so they're like, who is this guy? How did he do that?
Exactly. Yeah. A couple of the DJs had my record. So they knew, oh shit, this is his record. Okay, cool. because I did that record. And that's how I got into the Orlando scene, was from them seeing me perform. Because they if you were a local hip hop artist that was in the underground hip hop music in Orlando, you was at that show. You know what I mean? And you know, so that was my introduction to them. You know, like, oh, okay, we see dude. Yeah, I live out here now. So that was dope, man. And that's how I got accepted into that circle. You know what I mean? And then, you know, Mad Illz was working in the mall, just a young 16-year-old kid. I was playing my music. He was like, yo, who's that? I was like, oh, I rap. You know what I mean? He started rapping. I'm like, well, I make beats. You know what I'm saying? So he had management and all that shit at 16.
Damn.
He had a whole team. He had a management deal, like real paperwork and all that shit. And he used to come in my store and we used to kick it. You know what I mean? And I would play some beats and he'd be like, yo, that's dope, man. So he went back and told his management team, because they were giving him beats, but they were like Southern beats, shit that he just was like, yeah, no, I'm not really feeling that. But I got this kid that works over here that's got some beats that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I connected, you know, with Illz when he was just a little kid, man. I actually produced his first project. You know what I mean? His management team paid me. We went in, we recorded the joints. And then after that, me and him he just was cool as fuck, man. He was a young kid. You know, I was obviously older, been in the game, dropped already. And me and him, we just been kicking it ever since. That's the little bro.
He was young there, so he wasn't doing events at that time.
No, actually, yo, Illz, I'm sorry, man. I got to tell this story because it's fucking hilarious, bro.
All right, let's go.
So I went to his first big battle.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He was battling motherfuckers like at the mall and, you know, the high school shit. I was seeing him doing what I was doing when I was his age in the mall. You know what I mean? With other kids.
So he battled like at a venue?
So he had his first major battle.
Okay.
And the battle dude, there was two major battle dudes out of Orlando that I could think of off top that were the dudes that were always winning these contests. It was the kid Czar and this kid Sonny Chulo, right? And so, you know, this was his first battles at a big club, you know what I mean? Battle event. I wish I could remember the name of the event. I can't remember it. But he went up there and got bodied. He choked. He just didn't do great at all.
Happens to the best.
At all, bro. Like, he just did not do good, man. It's crazy because, you know, I met a lot of people. My dude, I don't know if you remember Smiles at South Star.
Yeah.
So my dude, the Asian kid, Rob, his name is Rob, his real name, he battled that day too.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and I had a relationship with him as well, man. He was cool as fuck. We just became wild cool. His original name was North Star. North Star. It wasn't South Star, it was North Star. He had to change it because the dude from Wu-Tang, there was a dude from Wu-Tang named North Star.
Okay.
So that's how he changed it to South Star. I got a couple of cool stories and shit like that, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
But yeah, Mad Illz, man, that was my dude, man. It's still my dude. That's my little bro, man. We just did a song for this new project right here. He's the only feature on this project. But yeah, he did his first battle, man. I was there. I was supporting him, and I was like, yo, my dude's gonna get busy because he was fire, bro.
Yeah.
He had lines like he was just a punchline rapper. Like, that's all he did was punchlines, you know what I mean? And I thought he was going to kill anybody in front of him. Now, these battles were mainly freestyle battles. But even back then, they threw written punchlines in.
Yeah, you had a mix
and then freestyle in between. I thought he was going to kill, man, but he just kind of, I think he just kind of got, it was his first one. But after that, he was a fucking killer.
But that's the same with you. Like, if you were to battle, you could pull out lines from any of those 50 verses. Yeah. Right? So you mix it up.
But no, back then, I wasn't really doing, the only time I was doing freestyling was in the lunchroom battles when we were younger. When we started writing, the battling was different back then if it wasn't a freestyle battle. See, if it was a freestyle battle, then you're talking about what the dudes got on, what's going on in the area, pulling shit out of. That's not what we was doing. That's not what I grew up doing. Battling. We just grew up. Who got the fucking dopest verses?
Right. I got you.
We weren't necessarily.
That's different.
It was like the smack battles. They weren't going at each. There wasn't no personal shit going on. It wasn't real freestyle. Yeah. They was just who got the dopest verses. My verse is better than yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I was doing. That's what we were doing coming up as a kid. You know, unless it was a freestyle battle in the lunchroom where it was more of a ribbon, dozen playing the dozens mixed with rapping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But other than that, like when we started writing, it was on. Like, yo, we were just going at each other with these written verses that were just super fire. And, you know, they were written in battle form. Like, you know, you can't fuck with me. I'm nicer. I'm the nicest, da-da-da-da-da-da. But it wasn't specifically for whatever. So it was, it could go in front of anybody.
I got you.
You know.
Well, Illz definitely stepped it up. He
became a monster after that.
I saw him first in the, like the WRCs in the Atlanta division for Jump Off. Him and Parable were just like incredible. And
that was after he took over the Orlando market.
Oh, really?
Like, he got crazy in Orlando. Like, he started going, like, these things in Orlando called the Hush shows back in the days.
What's that?
Madness. Dude, it was... Yeah, I remember I'm older than these dudes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a lot older, but I'm loving this. I love this hip-hop shit. So Mad Illz, I would go with Illz. Yeah, I remember he's 17, 18 years old. I'm a grown-ass fucking man with children at this point. But I'm still hanging out because this is hip-hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I watched Mad Illz, Johnny Storm, Critical, Madness, Midas. Who else am I forgetting, man? There was this white kid. I think he passed away, man. Rest in peace. I can't remember his name. He was super fucking dope too. But there was no Direct. He wasn't from Orlando, but Direct's is from Boston. He hooked up in the Orlando scene from going to Full Sail. So he wasn't even there yet. These were just the names that I named. Those were the guys that, and every week they was tearing each other up, going crazy. You know, and I didn't participate in the battles. By that point, I'm like, I'm not battling nobody. I make music.
Yeah.
I was in that, I'm not a battle rapper. I make music. Like, I'm not doing contests and none of that shit. But they're all younger and hungry as fuck. Man, when I tell you these dudes used to go back and forth with each other, it used to be crazy. Madness, Critical, Johnny Storm, and Mad Illz, they used to go at it, bro. They used to go at it.
That's dope.
It's a thing to watch. You know what I mean? It's a piece of history. I'm glad I was there to watch it. Watch those dudes grow older and progress into being just crazy-ass, talented MCs. You know what I'm saying? Every last one of them. I mean, a lot of people don't know me, Mad Illz, and Critical Madness had a group together.
What was it called?
It was called The Wrong Crowd. And we only completed one song, but we had about 4 songs with different people on them, but not completed. We only completed one song. I have that song. I have I have all the shit that we did.
Very cool.
You know what I'm saying? But someday maybe I'll release. Maybe I'll put that on an NFT. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit was fire too, bro.
That's cool.
Shit was dope. But yeah, man, like, Florida was good to me. Orlando was good to me.
Yeah. It's almost like it was like a training ground for, their freestyling ability, going back and forth like that.
Yeah. Not for me personally, but for those guys, Orlando was all about battle rapping, bro. They was all about that shit. Like, it's no surprise that this new battle rap era that we know today came from Orlando, Florida. Because it did. That's where it came from. It was birthed from Grind Time. Grind Time was born in Orlando, Florida.
Right. But you also had New York doing their thing.
No, New York wasn't doing shit.
Like Fight Club.
Not at that time. Nobody was doing nothing battle. It wasn't even cool to be a battle rapper. All that shit was over with. When Grind Time came about, the years leading up to like maybe the year or 2 years, battle rap was dry. Think about it. When did Fight Club? What years was that?
I couldn't even tell you. Late 90s, early 2000s, or maybe I don't even know.
So ask yourself what was going on before 2008. 2005, 2006, 2007.
If Grind Time came around in 2008, 7 or 8, obviously they were doing it like leading up to that. Right? Like right before.
But there was no, like, there was the WRCs.
Yes.
There was no URL. Ben stopped doing the DVDs. That shit was out.
Gotcha.
The DVD era was gone.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so
Fight Club was gone. They weren't doing it.
Okay, so before, so then you had Scribble Jam.
Scribble Jam, but it's not the same.
Well, that led up.
But battle rap, but Scribble Jam was a small. Definitely battle rappers going to Scribble Jam.
Yeah, you had like
100%.
2004, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 100%. But those were kind of different. If you think about it, these are freestyle contests. It wasn't what we have today. This is the
no, it's not.
This is what people have a. This is why I did a documentary about battle rap.
Well, I'm just saying it was Scribble Jam, WRC, then Grind Time, and that birthed like.
Grind Time came up with this format that we have.
Yeah.
From what I understand, there was a league in Canada doing it.
Elements.
Yes, there was a league in Canada doing it, and I think that may be where directing them got the idea from. You know what I mean? But it wasn't popping or anything like that. It was just in their area.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, between Illz and Direct. And then Lush One coming in later on. Now you have what we have today. You know what I mean? And what's whack, what I don't like, is that they don't pay homage.
What, the newer guys?
They don't salute. They don't salute Grind Time for bringing this. Yo, nobody. Okay, we had a partnership with World Star early.
Yeah, I remember.
We was on YouTube. Early.
Yep.
Like we were partners. It was so early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't give Grind Time the respect that it deserves in the battle rap community. You know what I mean? They just don't. You know, even though URL and King of the Dot came along not too long after, but it after. Grind Time was already doing. Grind Time made it popular. They're the reason why. Oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get back into this situation. Grind Time did that, and it doesn't get the accolades. You know, Direct, Lush One, and Mad Illz do not get the accolades that they deserve for this battle rap shit, man.
Yeah, I don't know if people understand the amount of work that goes into it. You can't just call two people up and then it's done to like battle or film it.
It was crazy. And you gotta remember, I don't know how long I don't know when you started watching, but Grind Time had a website.
I remember.
You know what I mean? They had a website with a 24-hour chat. The Grind Time website had news, had battles on there, and it had a 24-hour chat where motherfuckers was always in there talking shit.
Yeah. But see, that was before like Facebook and social media was really going crazy. Because that was the social media. And if you even go back before that, like the message board forums, you'd have rapmusic.com, but earlier you had like Hip Hop Infinity. You had undergroundhiphop.com, and you would just go in these message boards and talk with people. And that was the Facebook of that time. That was the social media. So it's funny to see, like, I remember the chat board, the chat forums, and I remember like Awkwards and Lush One and Dirtbag Dan, and everybody was on like talking their shit, doing doing their like videos or audio battles or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like they were the ones that were they had the most notoriety on the chat boards on those forums. And it's almost like it moved into the YouTube space. And it's like those same people are still like consuming I guess it's the social media of the time. And it's interesting for me because I remember seeing these people on
You were there.
Yeah, on the forums, talking with everybody or just seeing everybody talking with each other. And then, then
it was a chat board. It wasn't real time.
Right.
It was just that you left a message and then it was there.
Right. And it was like a thread.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas Grind Time had a chat, like a live chat. Like when you go into somebody's live now, like if you were watching a YouTube live, the chat room, everybody's talking in real time and all the messages are that's how the chat was in the Grind Time website. Yeah.
And now it would be in the form of like YouTube comments or live stream or in a live stream or something like that. So it predates like the massive social media companies that we use now, like Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. Shit, a lot of battles were created because of that chat.
Huh.
Because motherfuckers talking shit. Yo, I'm way God. Because everybody in the battle rap community back then, everybody was cool. Everybody was friendly, but competitive at the same time. You know what I mean? Mostly everybody was cool, but competitive at the same time. So outside of the events, now you got this chat room where motherfuckers is you get some just random dude that's like, yo, so-and-so will fuck up so-and-so. And then so-and-so sees and say,
they start shit.
I'll beat him.
Yeah.
Oh, nah, you can't beat me. You know what I mean? So a lot of matchups were created on that message board.
So let's talk about you starting the upstate New York division of Grind Time.
Okay.
How did that idea come about? Because I know there obviously the divisions became a thing. You had the South Division, you had the Fresh Coast, you had
the
New York, Atlanta. There's a whole bunch of them, and then the New York City division was like super dense. It was just like there's too many people.
Yeah.
And then how did you get into talks with starting the upstate one?
Funny story. I was going to battle.
Okay.
I was going to battle. I forgot what lounge battles it was at, but they were doing Grind Time. It was lounge battles, and it was a Grind Time events going on too. It was on the beach in Florida. I was supposed to battle somebody, and they didn't show up for the battle. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my time doing that. So then when I went back home, I just was like, fuck the battling shit. Why be a battler when I can create a business out of this shit?
Mm.
Right? Because at that time, I'm going to the battles and supporting PH.
Yo, you're a little bit older than most of these kids, so you're thinking ahead like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, fuck the battling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck the battling. Let me create something for my region.
Mm.
And remember, I got my relationship with Mad Illz.
Right.
Solid. This is like Lil Bro. The only person I talked to before I talked to Mad Illz was PH to see what he thought about it.
Right.
To see if he thought like, nah, you can't do that. You'll be stepping on my toes. There can only be one New York Grind Time. When I ran the idea by PH, he was like, yo, nah, that's fire, Just. You gotta do that. He said, yo, it's like at the end of the day, you and me both know that New York City is an entity on its own. It's not New York State. New York City is New York City. New York State is its own fucking shit.
Yeah, totally.
Right? I didn't expect that. I honestly didn't know what to expect. Right. What he was going to think about it. You know what I mean? Nah, you stepping on my toes, or nah, that's dope. That might be a good idea, right? So, yeah, he was all for it. He was like, yo, that's super dope. Hell yeah. Yes. So my next phone call was to Mad Illz, like, yo, I just was talking to PH this past event, and I was like, look at me. This is how you know I'm old as fuck. I'm going like this for a phone.
That's right.
This is not a phone no more. It's like this.
Yeah. I mean, like holding speakerphone.
Yeah,
so I'm
exactly.
I'm like this.
You know, I still do this when I'm referencing a motherfucker. Call this motherfucker on the phone. But I called Illz on the phone and was like, yo, I ran this idea past PH. He thinks it's a great idea. What do you think? He said, well, I don't care. That's just more exposure. It's just more exposure for us. Do you think you can bring a draw? So, well, let's find out. So I started the thread.
Okay. Yeah.
Upstate Battle League. If you from blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Get in touch with me. Cats started getting in touch with me. Dirt. Ivan. Cage.
Nice.
Real Talk. Actually, I'm not sure how real. Somebody brought Real Talk to me. Because Real Talk, Ivan, Dirt, none of these guys were friends. They didn't even know each other.
Oh, so they formed their goon platoon after?
Man, that shit came because of Grind Time.
That's funny.
You understand? Right. So, then I got, Collision and Mr. Cell.
Yep.
All these dudes from Utica. A couple people from Rochester. Mm-hmm. These are people that they're already tuned into the Grind Time shit. They're like, shit, some Grind Time shit in my own backyard.
Yeah.
Uno Lavos. He wanted to. So I had two people, right? That were me. From, and you as well.
Just Days.
Three people that were not from the upstate area. It's you.
Yeah.
Uno Lavos, which we had already had my tryouts all set up and ready to go when we were at the lounge battles in Florida. Mm-hmm. When we were talking about this off camera, how we were like, yo, we really fuck with him, but he just couldn't get through his shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, get your shit right. This is what you need to do. I'm doing tryouts.
We're gonna have a whole little section on. Uno. We're gonna go there.
So, anyways, I had the tryouts.
It was me, Uno, and Just Days.
Yeah.
Right from out of town.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I just started hollering at people. People started coming out the woodworks. Boom, 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 boom. So I flew Illz out. Flew Penn out. You know what I mean? So in the upstate tryouts, it's me, Penn, and Illz hosting because Penn took over PH's spot simultaneously with me starting the upstate shit.
I didn't know that.
So PH was no longer doing the president, East Grind Time president, anymore. He stepped down and said, I want to battle. He didn't want to be, he was like, man, fuck this shit. So he
that's cool.
Got with Penn, and Penn was like,
He
didn't really want to do it.
He didn't think it was like
anything,
and PH convinced him.
Yeah. So, and me and Penn started to form a relationship a little bit before that. Uh-huh. And then, again, I went out to the first battle he threw, and I'm like, yo, you should definitely come out to the tryouts. He was like, yeah, I'll come out. I'm gonna come out. Like, all right, bet. So he came out. It was me, Illz, and Penn. If you watch the Grind Time Upstate New York tryouts,
it
was us three. And it just started moving from there, man.
Yeah, I was there. It was dope. It was a dope day.
We did it in a diner.
It was in the back.
It was in the back of a diner.
The back room of the diner.
Yeah.
I remember I showed up. Who was I with? I don't remember if I was with somebody, but I remember I was there like a half hour early, and nobody was there except one person sitting in the diner all by himself, and that was Just Days. So he must have been there like an hour early.
Shout out to Just Days, man.
He was like ready. He was ready. And Uno Lavos showed up, and that was the first time I met him. And what's it called? We connected because we were both from like the Philadelphia
You were from
area.
there, yeah.
But that was the day we met. But it was we arrived there for the same reason, whereas like we wanted to get into grind time, and the New York division was the closest, but it was so saturated because there were just a lot of rappers, but there was just
tons of. It was hard. It was difficult to even get a tryout because they were in they transitioned to the draft league.
Oh, that's right.
At that point, so you weren't even. You had to deal with Dutch Vega,
right?
Soulcon to even try out. You weren't even dealing with Poison Pen at this point.
Yeah, so just to skip through that and to just go straight to grind time, it was like, well, if I have to drive 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, to get it on grind time, okay, then that's what it is. So then we just showed up like that.
And the crazy thing is Just Days had another tryout set up already. It's just that mine was before the New York one.
Oh, he had
and he wanted to do whichever one. He was like, man, fuck that. I get 2 shots. You know what I'm saying?
He was hungry.
He was like, yo, I'm going to have 2 shots.
Shout out to Just Days.
Shout out to Just Days, because he's like, yo, I'm going to do the upstate joint. He had already, he had the New York City tryout booked already.
Yeah.
He booked mine as well, because mine was first. He's like, well, if I don't make one, I'm going to make the other, basically. He's like, I'm gonna get 2 chances here. Either if I get down with the upstate, then he was like, well, I'll just have to, 4 hours to Syracuse to do my battles. You know what I mean? Like people really was hungry and they wanted to be on this platform.
Yeah.
So that's what they were willing to do.
I was still in that like older mentality where I was making music and I was in a group and we were putting projects out. So it was like, let me battle and get the visibility so I can get a little bit more exposure and do the music.
That was a lot of people's ideology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was not the battling. It was, I do music, but this is a good way to get seen.
I think it was like that for a while, and then there was just a transition. Now you have more people that just battle and never do music. It's crazy. Music. But yeah, so that's what I did. I wanted to just get on grind time because I saw how big it was getting.
You see what you just said? We created an industry outside of music that has to do with rapping.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, I need to get on this grind time YouTube channel and get exposure because I also thought that it wasn't too late because they were still doing tryouts and stuff like that. Yeah. Like right now, I would never try it now. Like the level that they're doing it now, I couldn't even spend the amount of time required. It's just too crazy. But back then, 2010, and it was 60-second rounds, and they weren't like these incredible double entendre, like every line, that shit. It was just like rapping and dissing and some metaphors and stuff like that. Like that was fun, and it was a lot easier to do. And I was like, okay, like I can still get in before it's too late. That's how I jumped in.
Dope.
Yeah, man, it was.
And
cool.
You had some shit too.
I did my thing.
You had some shit, man, and we have the video footage to prove it. It's still all up there.
So the tryouts, my opponent like never even showed up, so I had some shit for
you. And yeah, I remember that. I can't remember who you battled in the tryouts, but it was definitely same thing happened to whoever you battled.
Yeah,
their person didn't show up.
But I remember, so tryouts, most people did pretty well. Dirt had the room shaker of the day. He said the collision. Look at you, bumpkin. You're not a crook in your front. Long ass neck like you were born looking for something.
Yo. Yeah, man.
The audio on the camera when you watch that video, it's just like, it shuts down.
Yeah. Dirt was he was a ringer from the beginning, man.
He was amazing. And then you were calling people, to set up the first event. And I think you called me And you're like, yo, who you want to battle? And you remember who I said?
I do not.
Well, it was who I battled.
Well, I know who you battled, but I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
You saying Dirt. What was my response to that? Are you sure?
Nah, I think it was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't think you were like shocked or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I remember the day of like who is the best, and I was like, well, let me get matched with whoever's the best.
Because it wasn't established yet. This was the first event.
Yeah, like
it wasn't established who was going to be that guy.
Exactly.
So that was a good pick on your behalf. You know what I'm saying? To say, no, let me battle. Because you did well versus Dirt.
I did, yeah. So
you had some fucking good. You had some good. Did that battle go into overtime?
It did.
Yes, it was a fucking great battle. I remember that shit.
Yeah,
you had some shit. I mean, look, obviously you had some shit if the judges felt like it was good enough battle to go into overtime.
Yeah, I agree.
So you picked well.
I wasn't trying to go for like a safe choice or anything like that. I was like, yo, who's the best? Because then it's going to make me look better if I'm stepping up or going against them.
Absolutely.
In the room during the battle, it was like everybody was like overtime. Like, this is like, I don't know who could take it. And then he beat me in overtime. When I look back at the battle, he definitely beat me in like.
You mean just overall?
Before overtime, yeah. But in the room, and the moment at the time, it was all like, I thought like I had got him, something like that.
It might have been, look, man, Dirt is super loud, in your face, and you were not.
Right.
You were laid back.
Try to be funny.
You were laid back, you were cool, you were calm, but you had some shit still though. You always had some dope lines, man, like 100%. You know what I mean? You were there because you were supposed to be there, you know what I mean? At the end of the day. But no, I see why you could. I mean, Dirt was just dope, man. Dirt is supposed to be a household name right now.
I agree. He had, just from what I heard, is that like he had opponents that never showed up, or like he was promised money and never got paid, and like business dealings fucked it up where he probably just gave up, like, fuck this. But like, I agree with you. If things had gone in a more positive direction for him, like he was killing everybody.
He just also was doing too much too, though. He took too many battles.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he was just taking battles back to back. He was burning himself out. But he wanted it.
Yeah.
He wanted it. And he, I mean, I'm not going to lie, man, like Disaster, for the new GTX, hollered at, they were on a phone call, and he asked, yo, how can we get a hold of Dirt?
That would be amazing.
You understand? And, obviously Direct is going to be like, well, just one.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So
and then
Direct hit me up a couple weeks ago. I speak to Direct, not on a regular basis, but like, that's the homie, you know what I'm saying? So he hit me up and was just like, yo, can you get a hold of Dirt? Like Disaster literally was asking about him. I was like, yeah, I did what I was supposed to do. I sent the message to Dirt. Dirt sent the number back. I sent it back. I don't know what's been discussed or if they've even spoke.
That's dope.
But, I'm not going to not make that connection. You know what I mean? He was asked for. I put him in contact. There you go.
Well, it seems like he's down. He gave his number, so
we'll see what happens, man.
That would be dope.
You might see Dirt pop up in one of these new GTX battles to kill somebody real quick.
Yeah, would love to see him back.
100%.
He was the best. But you took him down to like Atlanta, like what he did to Destro Dollar.
Oh yeah.
I watched that verse where he breaks down like the guns, and I watch it just to see Nestle's reaction.
Well, him and Ness are cool too, though.
The way Nestle was
other.
just like his expression.
But yeah, Ness is he's different. Ness catches bars.
Yeah, that was
Ness is a phenomenal writer who catches the bars. He's one of those people that catches the bars in the room. Not everybody catches the bars in the room. So I didn't catch every bar in the room.
No,
sometimes it wasn't until afterwards I was like, oh, that shit was I didn't even realize. You know what I mean? Catching the bars in the room is almost a skill in itself.
It's hard.
And Nestle was one of those people. He was one of those rappers that caught every bar.
Yeah, so that'd be super dope if that happens. What were some of the moments that, you obviously traveled, like you went to Baltimore, you went to like DMV, some other spots with your division to battle?
Yeah, I was trying to, look, man, I was trying to build my guys up. We were an unknown division, right? We dropped the tryouts. After I think the first and second event, people were like, oh. They started watching the Grind Time Upstate shit. They thought it was a joke in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, people thought they were calling it a, even at first they called it a subdivision, And then it was like, nah, this is we stand on our own.
Yeah,
we're not a subdivision of New York City. Don't say down. We're standing on it. And then it got called, reclassified. You know what I mean? And listen, man, they was watching my guys. The people that were watching Grind Time and watching all the big guys were watching my guys because they was coming up quick. Ivan the Great, Real Talk, Dirt. They were coming up quick. You know what I'm saying? Uno Lavo started coming up. Like, Burns the Fireman was doing his thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people like the Kid Jackal. There's a lot of people, man. Collision and Mr. Cell, people like them too. They were doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of good spitters in upstate that they didn't, people just, you got to understand within the hip hop, like, gives a fuck about upstate New York, bro. They don't.
Everybody was like super unique too. Like the Jackal, he reminded me a little bit of like Tech Nine with that aggressive style.
Yeah, for sure.
But then you had like John Boot.
Yeah, John Boot.
He had his own like crazy unique style, the way he rhymed.
And John Boot was one of those dudes that was a fire writer.
Yeah.
His writing ability was crazy, but he just couldn't get past his stage fright.
Right.
He could never get past, even though he did it even after he did it several times, he just always had this nervous thing about him. You know what I mean? But he was super dope. People were fucking with his bars, but him, just as a performer, he could never get over that nervous, that nervous gene. You know what I mean? But he was nice as fuck with the bars.
He was dope. I really liked Mr. Cell.
Yep.
He was super dope. His such a unique style.
He always had good energy too.
Yeah. Nobody's like him. But yeah, man, it was good times, good memories. Can we talk about how you and partially me are responsible for the creation of Uno Lavos? And I'll give you the trajectory of his beginnings, because I was there with him like the whole time in the beginning. I mean, I haven't talked to him in like 8 years or something like that. Actually, I haven't talked to him since he battled Caliente on World Domination, when he really got his like big start. So I met him at the Upstate tryouts when I was trying out, and we became friendly. And he wanted to be like a smack rapper. Like that was like his whole motivation. What he was like dreamed to be like on like URL and be like one of those types of like just like gun bar, street aggressive rapper. That was all he was about. But as you could see, he was having trouble getting far because he kept stumbling in every battle, and he kept fucking his battles up and losing. And he wasn't getting a lot of chances with like other, opportunities when he was battling. And I remember he messed up like 2-3 times, and he was like worried that you weren't going to like invite him back or something like that, but you continued to give him more opportunities. And unbeknownst to me, you mentioned you had like hour-long conversations with him anyway about like coaching him too. So we went to, we did the tryouts. We might have had one or two events at Upstate. And then he and I went to Lounge Battles because we heard Matt Illz was hosting this Lounge Battles 8 event in Orlando, and we could battle there also. So me and Una Lavos actually went to Lounge Battles, and we battled each other. And I beat him mostly because he just stumbled again and forgot his lines. But we went to Lounge Battles, and he battled Surgeon General, and he battled, I forget, there was a lot of artists there. I ended up battling Mosh Jelton on a freestyle beat round. That was tough. Mosh Jelton is just...
Nah, he's dope.
He's a professional.
He's dope.
So anyway, you know what was cool about Lounge Battles is that they had this like tournament style where you'd have like 16 battles set up.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah, it wasn't, I don't think he always had it set up like that, but yeah, he did it like that for I think for like maybe 1 or 2 years. I'm not sure, but that was super different.
Yeah.
Like, so the brackets, because it was like he had these smaller battles all going on at the same time to shorten up the bracket to do the main stage battles. Yes.
But you're in the room, you're in this big room, and you have one battle in front of you and then behind you and then next to you, and they're all like shouting at each other at the same time, and they each have a judge with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the craziest thing I ever saw.
So dope. I mean, Illz was always good with coming up with like crazy ideas like that. Try to innovate shit. You know what I mean?
I wanted to see all of them, but you could only choose one.
Yes.
Like Carter Deems was there. He was battling. I think he battled this dude named Glimpse Automatic.
Yep, I remember him.
He was like, "You have a cannon that shoots out rainbows," or like some shit like that. It was all just freestyle because there were just like so many, many battles. So that was fun. But we did that battle. Nothing really happened, and then we came back, and I really just attribute him continuing on because of the opportunities that you gave him.
Yeah.
Because if you had stopped letting him battle because you're like, yo, you keep fucking up too much, like
it would have been over for him.
Yeah, he wouldn't have. He could have tried.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't think he would have had the drive after how many times he'd been kind of shut down at that point. So, like, you really opened the door for him to go through.
I liked Uno.
Yeah,
I knew he was nice. You know what I'm saying? I knew he had potential to be super dope. He just needed more push.
Yep. So I actually did 2-on-2 battles with him in this smaller New Jersey league. So like him and I were just constantly bouncing ideas off each other, writing together. We were doing 2-on-2s together. And then we went out to California because he got an opportunity to battle Watts from the Suns crew.
Yep.
And this is kind of interesting. So we were out in California, and I introduced him to Lush One because I knew Lush at the time, and I wanted Una to
shout out to Lush.
Yeah, get more opportunities. So I brought him out. I said, we went to the Ever Ready record studio, and then I introduced him, and then I filmed a freestyle that had Lush on it and Una on it, and like a couple of Sazu and a couple other people. And I introduced Uno to Sazu, also from Stockton. Mm-hmm. And I had known Sazu because when Fox battled Soulcon in New York, the Suns were out here. So I had interviewed Tall T, rest in peace, Tall T.
Rest in peace.
I had interviewed Cocky. I had interviewed Sazu and Fox. And Sazu and I had like built up a rapport. Like we continued talking after that. So when I came out to California, I introduced Uno to Lush and Sazu. So then this battle was hosted by Absurd, and Uno did pretty well against Watts. He did very well. And what happened was Sazu was behind Uno. And you can see this if you ever watched that battle, Uno versus Watts. Sazu is yelling behind Uno after every few lines. Sazu's like, "What else? What else?"
Yeah.
And and Uno really liked that. He thought it was like helped like motivate him to
I mean, I think any battler would be like, oh shit, like somebody from the crowd is fucking with me enough to like they're egging me on, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course.
Not only is it somebody, but it's Sazu, who's somebody who he's looked up to, has been more established from the jungle.
Absolutely.
So he was loving that. So he started picking that up and saying what else himself. Mm. He's like, what else? What else? And if you see him going out to like battle and Don't Flop, the entire crowd, hundreds of kids are going, what else? And they think that's Uno's thing.
Yeah.
But it's really Sazu.
Yeah.
It's just interesting just to see, because nobody has ever talked about like his beginning. I remember he called me one day and he was like super excited. And he's like, yo, I got this new style. I need you to hear it. And this is when he was stopped being serious. He was all stumbling. He was so serious. And he had all these jokes.
Yeah.
Right? These your mama jokes and stuff like that. So he told me like, he like spit some like lines for me about some of these jokes. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's funny. Like, go for it. And then since then, like he and I we would like take long car rides. Like if we went to Toronto for the King of the Dot event, we would just be like going back and forth with like these your mama jokes to each other back and forth. Yeah. So that was like the very beginning of seeing him do like this like whole new style. So it's kind of interesting where he was really like, I think he just wanted like the notoriety, no matter where it came from, whether he would be known as a street rapper or like a comedian, it didn't really matter.
I mean, as a battle rapper, you got to, or as a rapper in general, man, you got to, if you don't know already what your niche is, what your niche is, like you're going to find it. He found his niche.
He definitely did. So he
It wasn't expected. It's like, all right, it's like the same thing with dudes that do music, right? And they come into battle rap and they're like, well, I do music. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to do this to get a little bit of visibility, like you said earlier, right?
Right.
But then the music don't work, but then the music just isn't going nowhere. But your battling is fucking getting you paid. Or you're getting you more notoriety. But you're really too stubborn to be like, well, I don't want to be a battle, I want to do music. You have to make a decision at that point, right? Music ain't working, bro. The battle rap shit is working. Mm-hmm. And you might have the guy that's like, well, I want to do music. Yeah, bro, but the battle rap is kind of popping for you. So I hate when people just call me a battle rapper. People rather listen to you battle rap than listen to your music. Mm-hmm. What's that tell you? Mm-hmm. Right. Leave the music alone. Concentrate on this battle rap shit because that's what's going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, you know, Uno wanted to be serious, you know, serious bars. And listen.
He did it.
He had the bars.
Yeah.
He always had the bars. Bro always had the bars, man. He just didn't know how to execute them.
Yeah, nobody expected him to go as far as he took it. That was like insane. He was like,
you mean the battle rap?
Yeah, battle.
Uno found his groove and he did his motherfucking thing, man. Shout out to Uno Lavos, man.
Yeah, shout out to
him. Look, man, he found his groove. Some people don't know how to take advantage of when they see something working. He saw it working. He took advantage of it and he made it to smack. He did everything that he wanted to do. So shout out to Uno Lavos, man. Holla at me, boy.
Yeah, man. Shout out Lavos. That was wild. So yeah, I saw it in the beginning, but after his first King of the Dot event, we kind of had a falling out. So it was just like, you know, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing. So it's all good.
It happens.
Yeah. I don't know how much you can talk about. I mean, or if it's like kind of like a beating a dead horse as far as the grind time and just like the division and the business from like your perspective. Like, you know, you were doing well, bringing your division to other divisions and clashing and building up the names. I mean, Dirt became a very big name in the grind time world. And so kind of how did it all, you know, fizzle out from your standpoint?
It is what it is. You know, these guys were young. They didn't understand business. Grind time was new. It was fresh. They didn't know this shit was going to fucking blow up the way it did, man. You understand? They didn't have it mapped out right for the business. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have it. They didn't know. Look, I did a documentary on this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's on my YouTube channel. And Direct tells you himself, man. Illz and Lush, I got all three of them are on there. They tell you themselves. They just were not prepared for what was to come. I mean, one of the famous things that Direct always talks about when he talks about, you know, the beginnings of grind time is waking up and seeing how many views the first battle they put out had. I think it was, or not the first battle. I don't remember if it was the first battle. Not sure about that, but I think it was the Johnny Storm and Mosh Jelton battle.
Yeah.
I think that's the battle. Don't quote, but I think that's the battle. Where like, you know, he woke up and this shit had like 10,000 views or some shit like that, and he thought it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's just like, it must be a mistake. It must be 100 views. They must put an extra zero on there, you know? That's the energy grind time came with. Like, they didn't fucking know what they had.
Yeah.
They didn't know. If they have been older, wiser, most people who get into like a business like that will say, no, this is going to be big. They were doing it because they loved the shit. They were having fun. They didn't know what the fuck they knew what they were doing, but they didn't know what they were doing. You understand? If they did, grind time would still be a household name. And that's all I'm going to speak on that. Like all the other bullshit that went on, it's not my place. I'm not an owner. I can only speak for my division and how I ran my business. We could have ran this fucking battle rap shit.
Oh my God, yeah.
You feel me? We could have ran this shit, bro. And you know, the one thing that I will say is during all the bullshit, like there were certain people like me and Penn, we were trying to keep this shit together for the longest, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I hear
you know, rest in peace to grind time.
Yeah, well, the resurgence.
A lot of good times.
Yeah, it was
we had a lot of good times, man. A lot of good memories. Met a lot of dope people. Traveled a lot of dope cities because of it.
Yep.
I'm not mad at the experience. And shout out to fucking, you know, these guys getting it together and coming up with the GTX shit.
You know, I also remember at the Lounge Battles 8 that I was at, My Verse was there. And she did a performance, just like her music. And Matt Ailes introduced her as, she might have been like an artist on like Grind Time Artist or something like that. And Matt Ailes introduced her and was like, you know, this is My Verse. Like, she's going to be a star. Like, she has that quality.
Oh, 100%. I've known My Verse since she was just a poetry slam. She was just doing poetry, going up on stage and doing poetry.
Yeah. He was saying that about her in 2008. And you see her now, she definitely has that star quality.
100%. She's always had that. She's great energy, man. I love My Verse, man. She's just a great person in general.
Yeah, she's super sweet. She can do it all. She's killer with the bars. on like battling,
Mm-hmm.
like like a level above the average woman when it comes to battling. Like she can,
really she does her thing.
Yeah, and then music, and then like she rocks steady. Like everything she does is like high quality. So,
yeah, no, I fucks with verse. Shout out to my verse.
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think about how long ago someone can see that in somebody, and then he finally hits.
Illz is good at that. Illz was good at spotting talent.
Yeah.
I'm so is Direct. Direct is fucking yo, listen, man. Let me tell you something about fucking Direct, yo. This guy is a fucking battle, like he can spot a motherfucking dope battle rapper. And as he has.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like Direct is fucking this battle rap shit.
I don't know how
he don't get the props he deserves.
I don't know how he has the eye for that, but it's amazing.
No, he's fucking amazing with that shit, man. And fucking Johnny Mnemonic of the battle rap world, man. Like he fucking can speak about battles that happen in the beginning and remember bars. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that type of he's got that type of love for this battle rap shit, this battle rap culture. Like he's got that type of love for it.
Super dope. All right, so let's switch gears. Vacant Dreams, I see you got the hat on.
Yes, sir.
I also noticed that, it's a super dope hat. I love the
Good looking.
I noticed that there was a song that you released that said produced by Vacant Dreams. So let's talk about, I guess, what Vacant Dreams encompasses.
It started with the clothing line only. You know, I've been wanting to do a clothing line, man, since I was a kid, man. I've just always been into fashion. And when I finally got like serious about it, when I'm like, yo, I need to do a clothing line. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing all these people with this merch, killing the fucking game. Shout out to Nems. Nems was one of my biggest inspirations for just jumping out the window and doing it, because that's what he was doing. You know what I mean? And I love the Fuck Your Life brand. Yeah. So,
and that truck he's got,
you know, I mean, this is before before all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like before all of that, I'm like, yo, I need, you know, he's had the Fuck Your Life brand for a long time. It's been, you know, his merch, just from rap merch to creating it, making it an actual street brand. You know what I mean? And I just was, the designs he was coming up was just fucking dope, man. I'm like, yo, I need that. So, you know, I would call him all the time. Yo, can you come to the crib? You know what I'm saying? I need this hat. I need that hat. You know, where are you at? You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, man. And he just inspired me. I'm like, man, this fucking guy's he's on his fucking grind with this shit, man. I need to just do it. Like, so many other people are doing it. And it wasn't just Nems. There was a couple other people with their clothing lines and shit like that. And people are just doing it, right? And I was like, well, what the fuck's stopping me from jumping out the window and doing it? So I started taking it seriously, like, yo, I'm going to do this, right? So now I'm thinking of names. Like, yo, it's the most important thing if you trying to come up with a clothing brand is to have a fucking name and a dope logo to go with the name. Because, come on, man, like, if the name don't sound right, the logo don't look right.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So, I just, and I really don't even remember how I came up with the name. But I know I equated it to a saying, and I made the two go hand in hand together. You know what I mean? So basically the mantra, because you think of vacant dreams, you're like, oh man, that's negative. Not necessarily, you know what I mean? So what I did was, you know, from being an artist already, I understand that doors close, 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 close. It's always closed doors. There's always more closed doors than open doors as an artist. Any kind of artist. Pick one. You know what I mean? Any type of creative space, anything that you're doing like that, it's always doors being closed.
Yes.
Bam, 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 bam. You got a lot of artists who can't take that. So after 2, 3 doors being closed, they quit. They give up. You're not supposed to be here. It takes, if you want to buy a success, right? If we were talking about buying and selling, you want to buy a success, you got to pay for it. How do you pay for it? It's not in dollars. You pay for it in failures. You know what I'm saying? So one success, that price is 100 failures, 1,000 failures.
You pay for it in blood, sweat, and tears, hard work,
equity.
So I've seen a lot of artists or even battle rappers wearing the hoodies, the Vacant Dreams hoodies.
Yep.
Some got the hats. So I mean, you have a pretty big reach in the community. Hats, hoodies, is it shirts also? What else?
Hats, hoodies, T-shirts. That's pretty much, I put out a sweatsuit. I did a whole sweatsuit. But, you know, mainly, like I said, I started with the hats and the hoodies. Yeah. But it's still the same thing, hats, hoodies, T-shirts. I didn't do a sweatsuit this winter. I did one last winter. I didn't do one this winter. But, yeah, man, I'm just plugging away with it. You know what I mean?
And the chain is one of a kind.
The chain is one of a kind, man. You know what I mean? It just, you know, represents the work that I've been putting in, you know, with the brand.
Definitely. So if anyone sees Vacant Dreams on like music production credits, it's the company.
Yeah, so I'm producing under, you know, I'm using it as a production name, and I'm just branding the clothing line. Really branding the clothing line with just me in general. You know what I mean? But so if I do any production, it's going to be produced by Vacant Dreams. It's not going to say produced by just one.
Gotcha.
You know, it's going to say produced by Vacant Dreams. So I have, you know, I got the clothing page. I got my Just One page on Instagram. And I also have the production page.
Okay.
I haven't done anything on the production page yet. It's still blank. I haven't, you know what I mean? Because I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet as far as promoting the production. But, you know, I produce most of my own shit music-wise. When it comes down to music, I'm doing most of my own production. Yeah. You know, so, yeah.
Speaking of that, is this the latest project that you're introducing to the world? Yeah,
that's the newest project, Sloppy Loops, Old English, and the 94 Legend. But in the last couple years, I've dropped like 3-4 projects. So I've just been super consistent in dropping music, mostly produced by me. I did one EP produced by DJ Static. Salute my dude DJ Static, Rebel Arms. Yeah, we put out an EP, super fire. But yeah,
you mentioned earlier when you were coming up, it was like all like boom bap, hard New York music. You know, it's been many, many years since then. Is it still true to that boom bap sound?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
My whole career has been the same. My whole career has been consistently the same. Like my whole catalog is at justonemusic.com. It connects you to my Bandcamp. My whole catalog is up there from 1999 till right now. And if you listen, it's all consistent. You know what I mean? I definitely got a few Southern couple trap sounding records, you know what I'm saying? 100%. But it's still conducive to me. You know what I mean?
That's dope.
Not with no, you know, just because I'm rhyming on a beat that sounds trappy, definitely not boom bap, doesn't mean I'm rhyming any differently. You know what I mean? The content, the rhyming, like it's all the same. I'm not mimicking, you know.
Well, now I know that you can just write for days. Do you write and then, like, if you're making a song for the album, do you write to the beat and vibe off the feeling of the beat, or do you sometimes just write and then fit it with something, or is it? It depends.
I'm all over the place. Sometimes I'll get into production moods where I'm just 2-3 weeks. I'm just making beats. That's it. I'm not doing no rapping. Not doing no writing. Just making beats. Yeah. Stacking up beats. And then I'll go through the stage where now I'm listening to these beats, picking out which ones I'm going to keep, which ones I'm going to use, writing to those. Or sometimes I'm just making beats. Sometimes I'm writing rhymes. A lot of times I write rhymes with no beat. I don't really particularly write songs to a specific beat. I do it, you know what I mean? But it's not something that I only do. Like some artists would be like, oh, I'm only going to write to that beat so the flow is, you know, right on point with this beat. Like, I mean, if you can rhyme, you can rhyme to anything. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not doing double time music. Now, that's something that probably has to be written. Those kind of beats you got to write specifically for. Or if you got a beat that just has a certain bop to it, you might want to write that song to that beat because it has a certain bop to it. But usually those songs, you hear those and the writing just starts coming as soon as you hear the beat. So those joints, yeah, I usually write those to the beats. But a lot of times, I'll write the Alchemist beats, Knots beats. You know, I got certain beats that I just listen to that I probably got one beat that I've written probably 30 songs to. You feel me? Just because the beat is that fire. Like every time, if I'm not inspired, I'm just like, yo, let me hit up this Alchemist fucking instrumental joint. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh damn, this beat is fire. You know what I mean?
The first album that my group released, we connected with this producer in the UK named Mr. Concept, completely unknown to anybody though. We recorded every song to like a Pete Rock or Premier or like a Far Side beat. Like every single song we wrote to a beat that like inspired us. And then we sent the acapella to the producer in the UK and we told him what BPM the beat had. And he would come back with like brand new song for each one. And it was the craziest, like one of the best producers I've heard that like literally nobody knows. And it's for a good reason. He's a perfectionist and could never release anything. So that's why he's not heard. But that's how we made it. We just recorded it all like industry beats. And then we got it remixed to new beats. That was crazy. So I love that when you hear a beat, let's say you're scanning for beats that you just like, but you hear one and you're like, I gotta write right now.
Yeah.
Like that's the best.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, man, I'm just an artist in general, man. Like this is not a phase. Like, I've been doing this since as long as I can remember, man. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm gonna continue until I don't feel like doing it no more.
Exactly. How did you hook up with I mean, you probably knew them all, but like Team Hami, you know, how did you get
mean, again, it all comes through battle rap.
Yeah.
Before I actually moved to the city, when I would go to the city for battles, you know, I would stay Poison Pen crib. After before the battles, during the battles, after the battles, I'm hanging out with Team Hami.
Yeah. You're already spending a lot of time with them.
So after I moved there, who do you think I'm going to be hanging out with? I just moved to the city.
Damn.
I know other people, but these guys are the guys I'm hanging with every time I'm there. Right? So, you know, why wouldn't I? It just was organic, man. It was nothing forced. Like, it almost wasn't even like, do you want to be down or can I be down? It was none of that. It's just, organic shit,
like
man.
we're already homies.
This is who I'm around.
Yeah.
It's who I'm doing music with.
Organic.
So I love my guys, man. Shout out to the homies, man.
That's what's up. So let's for anybody that wants to get in touch about this album, about Vacant Dreams, where should they go?
VacantDreams.com. You can order it. I got the website up. JustOneMusic.com. You can get the digital. If you want the hard copy, just DM me. That's it. DM the Instagram, message the Facebook, @Just1_Team Homie on both. You know, get at me. Get the music, man. Go to JustOneMusic.com and listen to the music. You could listen to my whole catalog. You know, you ain't got to pay for shit to listen to it. If you like it, please, by all means, support it.
That's what's up. Support independent artists. But yeah, thanks for coming through, man. Been a pleasure.
No doubt, man. I'm around for whatever.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see you next time.